or in the most, in the poorest environments, all the way to the most modern. So the question, when we talk about inequality, it is about women. But I would take it a step further. This is the year of financing for development. We just came back from Addis. This is a year of the Sustainable Development Goals. We are due in New York in a few days. And this is the year of COP21, about the environment and the weather and the climate change, which so much affects and hits women more than proportionally. Effectively, 2015 is going to be a very important year for the cause of gender equality. Because in every one of these rendezvous, in every one of these meetings, in every one of these conclaves, the question of equality and the question of the incorporation, the question of the integration of women is absolutely crucial. And let me just finish with an afterthought after listening to maybe a couple of reflections after listening to the Prime Minister. I just came back from Iceland. We presented the economic survey of Iceland. In Iceland, 43% of the members of parliament are women. The Prime Minister here said 18 and trying to get to 25. In Mexico, they just passed a law. I'm Mexican, and I was very proud. They just passed a law where the political parties, when presenting their candidates to parliament, have to present a gender balance in the numbers. Now, of course, you cannot assure the results because it's the people who are going to choose between the candidates, whether they're men or women. This is nothing the parties can do anything about. But in the presentation of their candidates, they have to present even participation. And in the other part, you have 6%, 3%, very, very, very little. The same thing applies to boards, big discussion. And you have been in so many meetings where we discussed this so many times. Should you have quotas or should you not have quotas to enhance equality? Well, in terms of the participation in boards, our analysis shows, my God, we tried to avoid it at all costs, but it never happened. So what happened is, starting with a country like Norway, saying 40%. And that was many years ago. Even after they legislated it, they couldn't make it happen. Or you had, some few women who were in practically every board. So a bit of a distortion in terms of what you wanted to get. But very recently in Germany, they have said 30%. So it also shows that when you have a good intention, when you've got an idea, when it's morally and ethically correct, it also is not enough to make it happen. That sometimes you got to go further. You have to make it legally binding, or at least give it a push in order to make it legally binding. And I end with a homage. The migrants, it's about women. And let me say with very great emotion, we just put out a press release congratulating Merkel and Hollande for their response. it is a woman, Angela Merkel, who settled the differences of views in the whole of Europe to establish, at least for the time being, a certain orderly response, a generous response, an efficient response to a totally unexpected, overwhelming phenomenon of the people who are fleeing with the wars. But long before we had this discussion in Europe, long before Madame Merkel and Mr. Hollande came up with an inspired, generous, and inspirational initiative, this country, Turkey, had accumulated first 100,000, then 500,000, then 1 million, 1.5 million, close to 2 million refugees, has spent so far upwards of 6 billion in financing the civilized existence, the dignified existence of millions of people who are fleeing for their lives. And it is about women. And with that, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for the opportunity.